All right, let's chat about the upcoming slate of games that are going to be taking place this weekend. We've got a double header on Saturday and a quadruple header on Sunday. That is a massive amount of games. Let's go through the slate. Portland Thorns FC going to host Houston Dash Saturday, kickoff at 6 p.m. Eastern. Angel City FC versus Kansas City Current, Saturday, kickoff at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And then for Sunday, North Carolina Curs versus San Diego. That starts at 2 p.m. Gotham FC versus Louisville. That starts at 5 p.m. Oil Rain versus Washington Spirit. That starts at 6 p.m. And Orlando Pride versus Chicago Red Stars. That kicks off at 7 p.m. So definitely going to have to have multiple devices over the course
Oh,
of this
yeah.
weekend for sure to take a look at everything. Let's start with this first slate of games, Lisa. Portland Thorns versus Houston Dash. Portland Thorns coming off that midweek match. Houston Dash getting a standard week. Who are you looking at in this one and why?
So Houston doesn't have a midweek game. They did not play this past Wednesday. Because of that, they've had a little bit more rest. However, Portland Thorns, they got a goal over Washington Spirit. They have a lot of power. I mean, traditionally, I think I would say Portland. I would just give Portland the upper hand in this match and kind of go from there. However, Portland's dealt with a little bit of back-to-back play, and this is a very quick turnaround from Wednesday to Saturday for this match. Portland number 4 in the standings, Houston number 6 in the standings. I'm still going to give it to Portland, though. I have Portland in this match taking the win over Houston Dash. This game is going to be played at home for Portland at Providence Park, so that gives them the upper hand as well.
Yeah.
And that's a tough place for Houston to come in and play, but I'm hoping for some goals.
I feel you
I
on
would
that.
like.
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure. I think there's an added benefit to even though it's kind of a quick turnaround. If you're Portland Thorns, you're not on the road to travel. For this type of match, you get to stay at home. You get to go ahead and go through your normal processes that you would ahead of a match week. I'm sure the coaching staff and Wilkinson are looking at things, and maybe there's less training or more rest, in between this. So when I'm looking at these two teams, we're also noticing a little bit of an early trend here, I think, to sort of kick off the season. There are teams that are coming off of heavy match load type of weeks, and they're coming in and maybe looking maybe more in form, or they look like the team that is not missing the step to kind of start off their games. So I'm looking at a Portland Thorns side that's coming off a quick turnaround that's gonna perhaps take it to a Houston Dash side that's had a little bit more time to kind of prepare for some things. I want to see in this game multiple goals. I'm just going to say it. We
Same.
haven't had a multi-goal game from Portland in a while, and I think they've got too much talent there to have these narrow score lines. I'm going with Portland, but I also want to say I want more goals, and I hope that they get them in this game. Who are you going to be looking at in terms of like maybe an individual battle, Lisa? Is there anyone in this one that you want to have a breakout game?
Honestly, I want Morgan Weaver for Portland to get on the board, because this is a player that has moments of greatness, but I want a full 90 if she plays however many minutes Weaver is on the pitch. I want her to be lethal in last night's match for Portland against Washington. She came on in the second half and she did produce, and she was able to be a threat and be an influence in the attacking end. But for Morgan Weaver, I want more. I want her to lean on Sophia Smith, lean on Christine Sinclair, lean on those outside backs to whip balls in for Weaver, and for Morgan Weaver to find the back of the net.
I'm with you on that. I like that. Let's move ahead to this next match coming up, make our picks. Angel City FC versus Kansas City Current. Two teams that did not have a midweek match in this one. They're going to get a fresh look at each other. We're making a note of that some of the expansion sides are getting their first looks at teams that have already been a little bit more established. But I'm a little bit curious to how this game in particular is going to play out, Lisa, because it's a Kansas City side that only has a year of NWSL competition under their belt. So it's kind of like an expansion side versus, a freshman team versus maybe a sophomore team. And I don't mean that in any type of disrespectful way, but I'm very curious as to how this match is going to play out, because it's the first time that these two teams are going to get a real look at each other in regular season action. Who are you picking in this one and why?
Kansas City traveling to Los Angeles to take on Angel City in this match. Kansas City coming off of a 2-2 draw to Orlando. A late game penalty kick is the one that essentially lost this for Kansas City, or went from winning it to tying this match against Orlando, which was sloppy. But we've seen really good pieces being put together by Kansas City in this regular season. Throughout the Challenge Cup, they won their Central region. They can score goals. They have a number of rookies that have stepped up and just continuously gotten experience. However, Angel City playing at home, we know playing at Bank of California Stadium is a huge bonus for Angel City, coming off of a win over reigning NWSL champions in the Washington Spirit. And frankly, they've got Kristen Press. So that's something that is just huge for Angel City. This match being played in Los Angeles gives Angel City the upper hand. I see this one as a draw. I do, because I think Kansas City is going to come out and get goals, get on the board. They have a lot of power up front. They have a lot of mentality to be this team that can be a bit of a wrecking ball, that can throw teams on their tail and give them a spin. But Angel City, they've had a lot of possession build up throughout this regular season, that they can keep the ball, they can be a threat, and they have Kristen Press and Simone Charlie up top. We'll see where Tyler Lucy slots in. We saw her in the back line before. Will she continue to be up top? June Endo has been a huge force for Angel City. Yeah. I see lots of goals, but ultimately a tie in this match.
I love that you want this one to be a shootout. Listen, I would love for this one to be a shootout as well, because I'm not too sure if people would peg this one maybe as the one to be kind of the shootout game. But there's a lot of strong attacking pieces for both sides of the ball in this one. I think it's just a matter of, again, who's going to be available, what it's going to look like. I even think for Angel City on the defensive side of things, that if they see the return of Allie Riley to the back line there, that can change things.
Which I think
for this team. This was a player who was out under a COVID protocol, and it's been a couple weeks here that the club has sort of navigated things on the pitch, in her absence. But a huge piece to their back line, captaining the pitch when she is out there. So I think that'll maybe present some challenges for an attack in Kansas City that I think we're still a little unsure of what it's going to look like. We've been high on rookie Elise Bennett, but she has been listed as questionable, and we finally saw her get in last week's match in the second half and immediately have an impact. We're talking about a goal, an assist, and this is a game that I'm sure Kansas City is looking at and going to say, this is a game that we should have had all 3 points, but it did not work out that way. I think those are the type of games that can perhaps be a little bit of that motivating factor, the chip that you carry when you're looking for that little bit of extra added oomph to sort of take into an away game, quite frankly. So we'll see what happens in this one. When I'm looking at this one, Lisa, I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Kansas City. So I think you and I are both going to be going for the Current in this one. But when I'm looking at breakout performances, I still have players that I want to have strong games on both sides of the pitch. If Elise Bennett is available and ready to go in this game, I want to see a continued development with her. I'm sure she will be an added component to that attack. So hopefully she is available for the Kansas City side to go ahead and choose for selection. And when I'm looking at Angel City, I'm looking at Simone Charlie. So I would love to see these two players on the pitch and have strong matches for both of their clubs. But we're both going Kansas City, so we'll see how that.
I'm going to draw.
Oh, really? Are you going to go draw?
I'm going to draw.
Kansas City. Okay, well, I'm going Kansas City. I want to pick a winner in this one. I'm going to
shoot out, and I'm going to stick with the draw.
I respect it. All right. Well, speaking of draws, we'll get to this one right now. Let's talk about this next match. OL Reign versus Washington Spirit. I think I've tipped my literal hat a little bit of what I'm viewing this match to sort of roll out with. We're going to have a very early rematch between these two sides, these two teams. A lot of familiarity between them already. They've played a Challenge Cup semifinal between each other. They have played their first round of a regular season against each other. And now we've already got their second and final regular season match between the two of them. OL Reign finally going to get to host at Lumen Field in this one. Lisa, when you're looking at these two teams, who are you picking and why?
This is so hard because Washington is coming off of a really tough match on Wednesday versus Portland, 1-1. And they look tired. There was a lot of player rotation in that. We heard some player injuries happening in their midfield unit. We saw lots of different rotations with Anna Helferty being pulled to the back line. Trinity Rodman, she didn't look herself. She wasn't as aggressive in the attack as she usually has been, and she was a little bit more subdued in her presence on the pitch against Portland. I think the rivalry between Washington and OL Reign runs deep. And that makes the blood boil between both of these sides because of how everything has kind of unfolded for these teams. So Washington, they're coming off of this tight draw against Portland 1-1. And OL Reign, they're coming off of a tight draw as well against Portland, 0-0 in that match. And before that, OL Reign, they had lost to Washington Spirit. So the quick turnaround in playing these teams again, OL Reign, they have that bitter taste in their mouth after being on such a high, getting so much consistent play, winning a lot of games back to back, and then hitting this slump where Washington Spirit put them on their heels and took the Challenge Cup from them and then a regular season win. However, Washington, they're coming off of a really quick turnaround. I give the upper hand to OL Reign playing at home. I think OL Reign is going to win this one with Rose Lavelle that they have and the other powerful players in the midfield. OL Reign's going to win this battle against Washington, just based on what I've seen from Washington. Hopefully they drop Ashley Sanchez back in the midfield, Helferty up higher. That'll help things out for Washington. But I have OL Reign taking the win in this one. You already tipped your hat, but hear why you got a draw.
Listen, I we do this all the time. Lisa, we talk off mic, we text each other, we chat a little bit about it, about how what we're leaning towards or what we're feeling. And this is another one of those games where I kept going back and forth. I made arguments in my head for the Reign. I made arguments in my head for the Spirit, how things were going to look. What I do know is that we're going to get another competitive game.
Oh yeah,
because these two teams, they have a rivalry. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This has been growing for quite some time, and I love it. I'm here for these types of organic rivalries that sort of just kind of grow naturally in a league. And I think it's typical to sort of take a look at regional areas and just assume that there are going to be these rivals. But I love a great West versus East rivalry, and I think that's what we're going to see in this one. I think we're going to get good scenes in Lumen Field, hopefully, for this one. But I was going back and forth, and I think in this one, I'm still leaning towards the draw. I'm going to lean into that draw. I hate to do it. I love to pick a winner, and I love to pick a loser, but there was just too many good arguments, I think, on both these sides. I'm a little curious of who in the minute management and the player rotation, or what that's going to look like on the Washington Spirit side of things. Are Andy Sullivan and Kelly O'Hara going to be available in this match? IDK. Like, we are doing this ahead of an availability report. But these, again, are two players who have been navigating through some injuries. And even if they are available, what does that look like? Does it look like a 90 minutes? Does it look like 60 minutes? Does it look like 15 minutes that these players can come on and provide some type of spark off the bench? And then OL Reign, they've got the longer rest, obviously, between these two teams. They've got the home field advantage, but I'm looking at their attack. I'm looking at their middle third, and I'm looking at all of these really good pieces for this team. But during these last stretch of weeks, we've been seeing either scoreless draws or narrow results from this team. If we do end up seeing a dub from OL Reign, I want it to be a significant scoreline. I need to see a multi-goal game. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can even be a 2-0, 2-1. I would love to see it, but I got to see it happen from this Reign side, especially if they're coming off a little bit of a rest. So I know that there were some early frustrations for the Reign side to kind of start off things in this 2022. But I would imagine that head coach Laura Harvey and this group have obviously regrouped a little bit, and maybe they're looking at this one on the calendar saying, this is the one where we're going to get it all back and snatch it back and go on a little bit of a run. So while I'm excited to see it, I'm still going to keep this one as a draw, because I don't care what kind of quick turnaround it is, long, quick. I don't think you can ever count out a Hatch, a Sanchez, or Rodman to make some magic happen on the pitch. So I think we're going to get a draw in this
All
one.
it
And
takes
that's
is
what I'm going with.
All it takes is one moment,
right.
one mental lapse defensively, and those players, Hatch, Rodman, Sanchez, they can jump on it and they can really capitalize on that. And that's all it takes is one distinct moment. All right, I love it.